What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Homie Hangout, where we help others move in excellence. And behind me is beautiful South Lake Tahoe, right on the California-Nevada border. But this morning, tragedy struck when a little bit after 8 a.m., there was a call, to 911 talking about an active pow-pow, let's say, right? Now, when we hear active pow-pow, and in particular when we hear it in relation to like casinos and that sort of thing, a lot of us will think back to Vegas, right? When there was an individual way up on an upper floor inside a hotel, casino that was lighting up. I believe it was like a country concert or something. And tons of people perished. A lot of folks were hurt. It was wild. Thankfully, that's not what this was. However, it wasn't a full false alarm either because somebody did lose their life. And I'm explaining to you what happened. So to paint the picture, though, Lake Tahoe is a popular vacation tourist type of spot, especially for people from Central and Northern California, right? You got the snow in the winter, ski resorts, all that. You got the lake in the summertime, plenty of outdoor activities, camping and RVing, and all that good stuff, right? And it's just really a day, maybe a long day, but a day's drive from, like I said, Northern California and Central California. And so it's a popular spot. I've been out there tons of times. This happened at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. I've been to that place a few times. It's a little bit newer, but been there a few times. And yeah, it's right close to where this picture is probably taken, So one of the things that a lot of folks do when they go to Tahoe is gamble, right? Because it's right there on the California-Nevada, state line. We have casinos in California now, but the rules at those casinos are different than Nevada rules, So in Nevada, you get free drinks while you gamble, right? I suggest you tip the lady as she comes by. Otherwise, she's not going to come by so often. But you can drink for free while you gamble, and like everywhere else in Nevada, the whole idea of 2 a.m. is out the window. You know what I'm saying? It's just 24/7. It don't matter, And that played a role, I think, in what wound up happening here. So there's this couple. I think they're a couple. They were going together. Edgar Julian Delgado, 24, and Savannah Raquel Tautaupale, I think is how you say her name. She was 26. They're from the Santa Cruz area. And they were doing exactly what I and many other folks have done countless times before, right? They went up there. They got a room at the Hard Rock, kicking it out there on the floor at the hotel and casino, gambling. And they were at the bar, right? They hit the bar. So there's this place called the Center Bar in Hard Rock. I've been there before. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about, man. They got all these blue lights, little DJ spot. They got a DJ every weekend at least. And it's nice. It's a cool vibe, right? Get yourself some drinks. It's not real big, but it's right there by the gambling floor, So they're over there, and they've been down there at least since around 2 a.m. And at some point, they get in an argument with this guy, Omar Reyes Garcia, 32 years old. Now, he's a resident of South Lake Tahoe, and I believe that he had moved there from somewhere else. I've talked to some folks that are close with his people, and that's the understanding that I have. And that's not uncommon. A lot of people move to the Lake Tahoe area to get away from their urban spot or even their rural, kind of farmland spot. And there's lots of hospitality work there and outdoors work and all sorts of stuff. So anyways, here comes Omar. Omar's over there posted up. He's been there a lot before. Now there's some talk that this was gang related. But I think that's just because it's raza and it's guns. And so there's just an assumption that anytime raza get into it with each other, there must be gangs involved somehow, which is ridiculous. Omar wasn't a gang member, right? He wasn't affiliated. But the folks from Santa Cruz, not 100% sure. But I haven't heard anything that would suggest, maybe they rock with the North and so they caught a complex, but I really don't see anything that points to that. And even if they do have their affiliations, that doesn't mean that that's what this issue was. Again, Omar's not a gang member, He's just regular old dude doing his thing. So some kind of argument, some reason, whatever, gun goes off. and Omar ends up deceased. He catches one to the head. They take him to an outside hospital, and he's pronounced gone, right? And so that's like around 8 a.m. The police response is extreme, of course. And I don't mean extreme necessarily in a bad way, just there's a lot to it because they get a call from inside a casino talking about active pow. It's tons of different law enforcement agencies come, they block Highway 50 and, do a shelter in place in the Hard Rock. They go through, they search every room there, right? So that goes on for hours. I believe the shelter in place wasn't in place until like 11, a little bit after 11 this morning. And then the freeway, Highway 50, was closed until like 11:30, 12 o'clock. One of the things about going to South Lake or going to North Lake also, but South Lake Highway 50 is pretty much the only way in and out, right? There's other little side roads that you can catch at different points, but they all wind up landing back on Highway 50. And so it's not like you got multiple escape routes, Highway 80 is kind of the same for up in North Lake, And so they shut down Highway 50 right there at the state line, and everybody's on the lookout. So Edgar, right? Edgar and Savannah, after the incident, they go up to their room, they get their stuff out of the room. I don't think they actually checked out at the counter, but they went up to their room, got their stuff, got in their vehicle, and took off. And they were caught like less than 20 miles away, on Highway 50, right? By Sierra at Tahoe. And I'm not as surprised that they got caught and that they got caught on 50 and that they got caught so quickly. Because again, A, that's the only road. B, if you've never been to a casino, then perhaps you can't really appreciate just how many cameras there are. Nothing happens anywhere in a casino, with the exception of maybe in the bathroom, that is not on camera, that you're not being watched 24/7. So of course, something like this happens, hotel security, which oftentimes are like little high-end police departments kind of in themselves, they check the tape. Let's look at the video. And they'll be able to see everything, right? When did these people come into the hotel? What room were they in? When did they leave? Every single step that they took while they were on the floor. They can follow all that stuff. So of course, when the police get there, they're like, hey, this is what they're driving. Go. Imagine for a moment that you're Edgar Delgado. You go for this nice little getaway. Everything's cool. You're having a blast. You wake up one day and this is your view. Probably a view very similar to this from the hotel window, if you have one of the decent rooms. And then now tomorrow morning, your view is going to be El Dorado County Jail, a rural county jail. And you're looking at spending the rest of, or at least close to it, the rest of your life in prison, right? In a state that you're not even from, in Nevada, when you're from California. I'd be sitting there like, but what happened? What the hell happened? Now, he's arrested on first-degree murder charges. There's no bail. Savannah's arrested for DUI and then accessory after the fact. So she's got $250,000 bail. No idea if she's going to be able to make that or not. They're both going to be extradited, back to, I think it's Dorado County, something like that. Nevada, anyways, to the Nevada side, because that's where it happened. But man, what a plot twist to your little getaway. And how does this happen? Without knowing the particulars of the argument, without really caring, honestly. Alcohol and gun. That's your issue, right? You're going out of town, you're going to Tahoe, you're going to a little vacation spot. Now, I found out that there actually are some gang activities in the Tahoe area, but they're minimal, right? They're minimal. There's a lot of people of different affiliations who have moved up there, but they're grown, they're doing their thing. Come on, again, like look at the view. If you look out your window and this is what you see, it's better than where you came from 99% of the time, And so don't bring the drama of where you come from to a place like this. But in which he goes and he feels it necessary. I'm making some assumptions here, right? This is all allegedly, and I'm making some assumptions because I don't know Edgar, right? But I can picture this. You're going, man, I gotta keep it on me. I gotta stay strapped. So you bring this banger with you to a hotel and casino in Vegas, right? In Tahoe. It's not really necessary, bro, right? But then all the drinking, this, that. So now your perspective starts shifting, your filters start falling down. You got a little complex maybe about yourself, and you've got this banger on you, right? And you ain't gonna be the one to whatever, get punked or get looked at, right? Who knows, right? By all accounts, from talking to folks that are connected to Omar's people, maybe is the best way to put it. It's highly, not that anybody is entirely innocent all the time, but the dude wasn't banging, and people are familiar with him, and it's really unlikely that he's the one that got carried away and exaggerated, some conflict to the point of that happening. But who knows? We'll find out. But either way, right, it's the alcohol and the gun, right? And how does this stop? Imagine a dude doesn't bring the banger with him. Imagine Edgar goes, but he doesn't bring it. But he's just as drunk. And so his mindset is the same, filters down everything else. And they still get off. They get into it, right? Maybe he gets beat up. Maybe he beats up the other guy. Maybe he goes to jail for a fight, right? Okay, those are consequences. None of us would enjoy, getting beat up or going to jail, right? Oh, shoot, I wouldn't even enjoy beating somebody up these days, man, because even when you win a fight, you're still sore, hands hurt and shit. I'm too old for that. But these kids are young. They're in their 20s, so different story. But you're not looking at such a radical life change, man. And I would suggest folks keep that in mind. There's the lesson kind of in this is if you don't have a banger on you, the odds of you using one against somebody are really, really slim. And I get the whole idea of like, man, I ain't gonna be caught slipping. I ain't gonna be caught slipping. But how many times how many folks are sitting in prison for, oh, I kept it on me so I didn't get caught slipping, and then I got carried away and used it in a situation that I could have navigated and survived. What exactly happens, who knows? But I would have survived even if I didn't have this. So just keep that in mind, man. And I know sometimes it's hard. We go out of town, we go to other places, and it's hard to let go of the stuff that's normal and familiar to us, right? We're used to walking around the neighborhood kind of with your head on a swivel and chest puffed out and presenting ourselves a certain way because we live in a predatory environment. And so you got to make sure that when you're walking down the street, folks see that you too are a predator. You're not prey. You ain't got to do that in South Lake Tahoe. There's a lot of places you don't need to do that. And we got to learn to kind of let go of that. I brought a lot of young folks from the hood up to Lake Tahoe. And it was a trip to watch them, these dudes that walk around with bangers on them when they're home, that are hustling, that are struggling, that are trying to figure out a way, right? And yet they're playing in snow, having snowball fights. You know what I mean? Like it's being kids again. I would encourage all of us to kind of, in our own way, right? To try to have that experience. You go out of town, you go to a new place where who you are and where you're from is not a factor. Then don't walk around like who you are and where you're from is a factor. Just enjoy. Still be aware. Crazy stuff happens anywhere. You never know. But enjoy where you're at, man. Right? That's the idea of traveling. That's the idea of a vacation. That's the idea of getting away. You're going to get away, get away. And again, I'm not speaking specific of Edgar's circumstances, just in general, something to keep in mind for all of us. Don't bring that stuff with you. That center bar right there in a Hard Rock, like I said, man, blue lights, little DJ booth. They was probably playing some music earlier in the night. When I go into places like that, I look around like, boy, I'm living a good life. I have arrived. You know, and it's not expensive place to stay or whatever. You know, you're not at, the finest resorts in the world, but it's better than where I come from. It's a better view and a better atmosphere than a lot of views I've had in my life and a lot of atmospheres I've been in my life. Don't mess that up, man. And again, condolences to the family, the Garcia family for their loss. A lot of folks lost a friend, man. And if I get any information about GoFundMe or the family's Cash App or whatever, I'll be sure to update this video and put it inside the description. But as of now, I'm not aware of any of that. I just maybe 10 minutes ago, got off the phone with somebody and so don't have that information as of yet. But anyways, help others move with excellence, man. That's what homies do. Check out, there's a variety of content. And yeah, this did not have to happen. This was avoidable. By leaving that thing at home, right, not having a banger on you. If you are going to insist on having it, then be disciplined enough to be a little more clear-minded, right? Alcohol and guns is just a bad, toxic mix. And sometimes not the worst thing happens, but very rarely does anything good happen either. And this is just another case. So, all right, you guys, take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.